coffee.
So is that to set the coffee pot out?
No. This is just a little dish. Maybe they would use it as a card. You know, they used to have calling cards when they would come and visit, and you'd have your own little calling card, and then you'd put it down there.
Really?
No, you don't use that. You usually have a guest book, and they write their name, but they would bring a calling card and put it down there. So, and that was Mother's, and that isn't quite an old thing, because they were married.
Where's your guest book?
I don't have one. And all the people I've had here.
Yeah.
That's a shame, isn't it? Well, now look at this. This is from my mother's home in Norway. And it's called, in Norwegian, it's called a mortar. A mortar. Same thing, isn't it?
That's what you use for your,
croton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put the
cardamom
seeds in there. And you do like that. I use it for other things, too. And I think that this is very old, and it's handmade, I'm sure. And that's an old one. And this is, oh dear, something's going to fall back. And this is, they used it for parties or like weddings, and they would put cream mush, you know, that rummegrøt, and they would put it in there and then serve it. And then they would have flatbread. And they didn't need plates because they could take a flatbread and put some of that rummegrøt right on the flatbread and eat it. Then you didn't have to wash the dishes. But this one belonged to my grandmother, Krogan. And her name was originally Breck before she's married. And her mother was Susanna. It was Breck. But then, no, it wasn't Breck before she married. She married, and then they moved from, and the Breck was their original name, and then they moved to a farm that was Krogan. Then they took the name of the farm. That's why their names changed. But this belonged to Tora Breck. And then she became Krogan when she married, see. And this, when she was a young woman, she helped a friend of hers who was getting married. And they called it the Pinta Brud. Brud is bride. And Pinta means to make pretty. She helped to trim and help her get ready for her wedding. And the groom made that for her and gave it to her. So this is a very, very old piece. And I suppose he didn't even put a date on, but he made it and then put rosamaling.
You made that for your grandmother?
Yes. And he put rosamaling in there.
Yeah.
And then this comes out. See, it's got a little thing in there so that it can, what have I got in there? I don't know. I'll have to look and see what I have hidden in here. Here's a thumbtack. But this little thing goes in there. And in fact, you could have a little peg that could go right in there. See, and then the locket. So that's that. Now let me see. Oh, I have another thing here. This is a church, and this was made by my great-grandfather for the children. And it's an interesting little church, isn't it? Out of a piece of block of wood. And for the little children, to put a little toy for them to play with.
Your great-grandfather?
My great-grandfather. And they used to call him Gabi. And maybe the children gave him that name. And he was, and his name then would be Fanjunker Breck. He was a Breck. And he was then the father of my grandmother, you see. And he was a sergeant or something in the army. And he had admired Napoleon.
Was that grandmother your mother's?
My mother's grandfather. My mother's father. And that's for them. Then this little thing is a little tray. A little tray that it was rose-mulled and it's handmade, and I think that he made it. This Fanny or Brecht made this thing, and they thought maybe it was a little smoking tray, you know. But I foolishly, I put it. See, and also you could have it. You could hang it up, And this was rosemary, and I should have brought it to Norway. And then this second cousin, Lars, would have painted again. Oh, I see it needs to be dusted. How in the world did that ever happen? But see, that needs to be dusted. But that's a little rosemary in there. Now I think that's all I have.
What's
right.
that little lady there?
Well, that is, I bought that, but this isn't an old thing. I bought it there. Oh, there's the, she's holding one of these things, see? This, and she's got a date on it, 1824. Well, it was,
Oh, that's like the big one.
it's like the big one.
Uh-huh.
And then she holds it like that, see?
Oh.
And there she got a Silja, that's a pin, a Norwegian pin. They fix it like that, and typically Norwegian. But
You bought that in Norway.
I bought it, and I have some more like that. Then there's an interesting dish out here that lusterware, and it's really made in England. But this belonged to my grandmother's mother, and that was a Beichmann, which is a German name, isn't it? So there's a little German in the family. And Susanna Beichmann was my grandmother's mother. That would be my great-grandmother, wouldn't it? And somehow, I don't know, it's called lusterware. It's very old stuff. And I guess I got this from my grandmother. And
That'd be my great-great-great.
yeah, right. So she had it through Susanna Breck. And I have also a little...
How do you remember all of this?
Well,
How do you remember
Well,
all
I
of that?
remember it. I
You
think about it, and I was
do.
interested. And that's why my grandmother gave me these things, because she knew I loved them, and that I was interested in them. Now, that's all the... Oh, another thing, of course, is that Krumkaka iron. That, it's a heavy one, and this is hand-wrought, handmade. And then it has a pattern. You see the pattern in there?
How did they get that pattern in there?
Well, they made it handmade, and what did they do? They somehow when it was hot, don't you suppose they did that? And this whole thing, and then they would take this and put it into the.
That's what you use when you make.
I do. I put it right on the top, and
So when you made it for us and brought it for Christmas that year,
I had made it right on this, and I like to do it. There's sort of a nostalgic. I remember my grandmother, she would sit and make them. But this is for the fireplace, you know. You put them way in the fireplace. That's why it's so long. And it's really heavy. It's a big job to make those things. By the way, I've got some right now. I'll give you a Krumkaka, some cold drink. I had some left over that I made. Get out of the way, but I was going to show you. I do it like that. Hold it like that. And then I kind of hold it with my knee, because then I have the stuff here, and I put it in, and then put it on the fire, and leave it like that, and I sort of figure out how long, and then I do like that, and then up like that, and then I have to get it off in a hurry, and get it over here, and roll it up, and then I have a little roller that I put it on, right there, then roll it up like that.
Talk about those two wooden things.
Oh yeah, that's right, these things. And this my grandpa Krogan made for this. And they're called a turu. And this is sort of a descriptive word, isn't it? Because when you use them, if you're going to cook something, you would sort of have some fat, and then you go like that. And if you want to have some flour, you want to paste, or like flour and water or milk or egg you want to do, like a little beater. You just do like that. That's what they used in Norway, and he made these. This was a turu, it's called. See? So, and this is very old too. It's my baby cup.
Your baby cup.
My baby cup. It's an antique. Well, what's it called? call Onstad's RCU store, Ada, Minnesota. And evidently, it's a very handy thing to put on jars.
Is that store even there anymore?
The store is there, but nothing is in it. I mean, not used as a grocery store. And I don't know who has it. Maybe Russell has it.
Onstead RC.
Of course, there is that. This is called a C-skruve, which means really a sewing screw. And what they would do, they would take this part and put it on the edge of a table and tighten it up so it's right on the edge. And then they would attach if they were going to embroider or something, they would put the material, pin it on there, and then it was firm, you know, and then they could just sew.
That's a smart idea.
Yeah, and this, I don't know, it's a very interesting wood, but it is thought that maybe Van Jonker Preck, the great-great-grandfather that made that little church, that maybe he made that, and I should have the information. And this is a brillehuis. That means a glasses spectacle house. That's literally, that's what it is. And there too, but now here is two things. Here is a part of I have to have that for my Norwegian fiddler. Part of the thing fell off. And this is an angel wing for my angel up there that I need to fix. And then
So now it's a wing hoose.
Yeah. There, see? But why don't they put dates on? This would be
That's
very old,
pretty.
but see how intricate it is?
All
With
hand
their
carved.
little tiny glasses, see?
Yeah.
What fancy thing it was. They loved, that was artistic to do that.